Oh, friend, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. Oh, friend, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. In the garden of thy heart, in the garden of thy heart, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. Oh, friend, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. Oh, friend, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. In the garden of thy heart, in the garden of thy heart, in the garden of thy heart, plant not but the rose of love. Ooh, 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 ooh.
We are all learning together, and we should recognize that while everyone has perspectives to share, nobody holds a monopoly on the truth.
Youth face particular challenges in these times. They are experiencing an epidemic of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Some observers do not have faith in the potential of young people to make mature and effective decisions. Others are dismissive, focusing on the challenges youth face without acting to foster their potential. Yet we have seen that when youth internalize the principle of oneness, they develop a longing to serve their society. They become inspired to make a difference not only in their neighborhood, but in the wider society in ways that are truly impactful. Transformative change becomes the work of their generation and the work of all generations to come.
And indeed, when youth rise to meet this calling, their impact is unmistakable. Across the country, young people are embracing their role as builders of a new society. In families, neighborhoods, classrooms, community centers, and even on national stages, their contributions are gaining momentum. In the Bahá'í Faith, youth are not only seen as leaders of tomorrow, but as protagonists of change today. Through meaningful conversations, service projects, and a growing network of friendships rooted in spiritual principles, they are actively engaged in building a more unified and just society. One powerful expression of this movement are youth conferences, gatherings where young people come together to reflect, consult, and make plans to release the society-building powers of the Bahá'í Faith.
I decided to come to the youth conference because I wanted to meet new people, and especially people my age. And I already know amazing, wonderful people from the past times that I've come to big gatherings like these ones.
And it is a conference with the hope of increasing capacity to engage in meaningful conversations.
During the conference, we've really talked about the power that youth have in this day and age, about how our unique gifts are helping us bring humanity forward.
At the youth conference, we've been learning about Baha'u'llah's vision for humanity and youth's essential role in bettering our communities, and what capacities do youth need to build in order to actually effectively serve their communities. So it's been really interesting hearing all the participants' input and hearing about their personal experience about, okay, I see this need in my community and I want to address it in this way.
So far at the conference, I've been really enjoying myself. I find it really easy to socialize and make friends because the people are so welcoming and kind. They come up to you, they saying, "Hi, what's your name?" It's just such a welcoming community, and it's just you want to be friends with everyone, and they want to be friends with you.
We've talked about topics such as universal peace. We've talked about how can we as youth empower other youth to strive for building a better community, more positive community, a community based on principles like truthfulness, based on principles like love. And it's been so great to be able to pick each other's brains and get to talk so much about how we can build better communities.
Really impressed by the sheer energy that I feel people are bringing across many different paths of lives and backgrounds.
I think on planning, we all had this deep desire to anyone who wanted to walk through the door would be able to walk through and feel a safe space. And so there was all these tiny little logistical things we had to think about, name tags and foods and dietary restrictions, location, how can people travel, and how can we actually create a vibrant community that we're studying about in this environment? And now seeing it all come to life and seeing all the youth smiles and laughter and singing songs with them, it made all the consultation that went into planning the conference feel so rich, and it was so exciting to see the results of it. So I was really happy that people seemed to be happy about the conference.
I had no expectations. I only know one fellow member who seemed very engaging And when he said, do you want to go to a conference, I was very open to see people similar, like-minded as him. So I had the impression of meeting people that were engaged, kind, welcoming, but also willing to learn. I think other religions, they talk about this is what we're doing as a religion, this is what we're reading, but you don't have them like go into like different smaller groups and talk about what is the gap that we're looking to fill from your knowledge, what is the gap between another person looking to fill in their knowledge, and how do we come together? So I think as a non-Baha'i, so that was something new and like surprising for me to see today.
Here I'm learning about, right now we're talking about like unity and stuff, and we're actually working on a project right now. How like you can start off as a seed and then it grows into a lot of these human virtues, and then that tree, like an apple, like the seeds drop, and then those seeds are like new people. Like when you share the ideas, you like plant a new seed and that person grows and they drop a seed and it keeps going.
So far, what we've been learning about in my group specifically is the difference between like a material life and society, and then a life with material and spiritual.
Let your heart burn with loving kindness for all who may cross your path. We just painted that one, and I was thinking about that one all day, because I was like, oh, it's just like such a sweet quote to be like, just be like, have as much love as possible for everybody around you.
I think youth can change the world, and we have such a big responsibility and such a big role, but also we come at it with so much energy that, you know, it's almost like nothing can stop us as youth.
The world has contracted to a neighborhood, and it is important to appreciate that what we do in America impacts not only our own country, but also the entire planet. We should also never forget that the richness of our diversity and our founding ideals of liberty and justice attract the eyes of the world to us. They will be influenced by what we achieve or fail to achieve in this regard. It is not an exaggeration to say that the cause of world peace is linked to the work we must do right here in this country.
So June of 2022, there was like this camp, and it was sent out for like Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina. It was a 12-day camp. It was the first that we ever had that was that big. And over those 12 days, about 130 or near 150 youth were able to participate. So at first in the camps, people were kind of in their geographic regions, which also meant like racial like groupings. And it was kind of becoming noticeable. You know, it's natural for people to be with their friends, but I think when we were noticing that it was also along like racial lines, at first we were like, it's a Baha'i camp, so we're trying to figure out how can we apply Baha'u'llah's revelation even to like our social spaces when we're eating dinner, or like who we're doing our arts with.
By really the third day, the tutors came together to reflect, and we're like, what can we do to address this? It was very obvious. And we really took some special initiatives. So we reflected really on the story about Louis Gregory, and how can we really think about giving the seat of honor to the Black youth who are coming. And that, I think that really inspired all of the tutors to really think about, it was a really shift in thinking. The tutors were like, okay, we need to really shift our own thinking as well, and then what conversation can we have with our participants in our study circles.
And I think that by the middle of the camp, more and more people were starting to like branch out and be with people from different backgrounds, different localities. And I think a big part of it too was like our outings. I think in the middle of the week we got to go to the Civil Rights Center, and on that trip a lot of people were kind of like mingling and like walking in groups with like different people that they hadn't really interacted much with. Just started branching out by that time with the support of like the tutors being like kind of encouraging people to like branch out, talk to new people, thinking about the implications of a space that's segregated by race, and thinking about how that wasn't necessarily the culture we were trying to build.
At this time in history, when the interdependence of the world is so clear, when a universal set of values is greatly needed, these eternal principles gain even greater significance. Such values must not only shape the way in which individuals treat each other, they must also shape the ways we conceive of community and operate society's institutions. The Baha'is believe that the history of humanity is really the story of one vast process, whose ultimate goal is the coming together of the entire human race. But this unity does not mean uniformity. Rather, it will be a unity in diversity, united in our essential values and aspirations, yet infinitely diverse in our cultural expressions. We do not believe that the road forward will be an easy one. It will involve ceaseless work, sacrifice, and struggle. To achieve it requires a world-embracing vision, one that inspires our consciousness and brings us together in solidarity with all people.
The longest story in our history is the relationship between humanity and God.
Individually or collectively, we explore this relationship through expressions that reach beyond ourselves.
Though our practices may differ,
it has always been one continuous story.
The well-being of mankind, its peace and security, are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established.
If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it.
Indeed, God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves.
How good and pleasant it is when brothers live together in unity.
Thousands of candles can be lit from a single flame, and the life of a candle will not be shortened.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me.
Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not only the present, but also the coming generations.
It is time to remember who we Americans aspire to be as a people. This moment beckons us to a renewed commitment to realize the ideal of e pluribus unum, out of many, one, the very aspiration upon which America was founded. It is not enough simply to believe in our hearts that we are all equal. This awareness creates the moral imperative to act and to view all aspects of our personal, social, and institutional lives through the lens of justice. It implies social innovations more profound than anything we have yet achieved, and it requires the participation of Americans of every race, creed, and background, for only through such inclusive participation can we achieve unity. It is one thing to protest the injustices as they arise, but it is a far more profound challenge to create an effective framework for justice. our efforts can only succeed when we learn to build relationships with each other based on sincere friendship, regard, and trust, which in turn can illuminate our institutions and communities. An essential element of the process will be honest and truthful discourse about the road we have taken to where we are now. We must, for example, build the capacity to truly hear and acknowledge the voices of those who have directly suffered from the effects of racial prejudice. It is critical to understand our present reality and how we got here so that we can move forward. This capacity should manifest itself in our schools, the media, and other civic arenas, as well as in our work and personal relations. This should not end with words, but lead to meaningful, constructive action. Significant efforts are already underway to learn how to create models of unity in neighborhoods and communities throughout the nation. Baha'is have been persistently engaged in such efforts for decades. Again, the aim is not unity in sameness, it is unity in diversity, recognizing that everyone has a part to play in contributing to the betterment of society, and that true prosperity, material and spiritual, will be available to us all to the degree that we live up to this standard of inclusiveness. We should discover what helps to make a difference and why. We should share this learning throughout the country as a means of inspiring and assisting the work of others. There is nothing more persuasive than the force of example. Fundamental changes in social attitude will be achieved if men and women of goodwill can see others attempting successfully to give these ideals practical expression in individual and community life. If we do this, we could soon find ourselves in the midst of a fundamental transformation. A new society will be based upon our much higher potential for collaboration, reciprocity, and human progress. We all understand how members of a healthy family depend upon each other and provide mutual support in relationships built on trust. This is no less true for a healthy community and for an entire nation. Let us not lose this opportunity. Will we commit to the process of forming a more perfect union? Will we be guided by the better angels of our nature to choose the course of wisdom, of courage, and of unity? Can we become the beloved community that includes and uplifts all? Will we choose to truly become that city upon a hill to serve as an inspiration to all humanity?
Do you know where you are?
Do you know what has brought you here?
Do you know what comes next?
For too long, we've been divided by things we didn't choose, by old prejudices built into how we see and how we live.
But are we doing enough to change it?
Are we nourishing every population that makes up this country? Or still convinced that only one limb deserves nutrients, then wondering why the body struggles to move forward?
Racism is a profound deviation from the standard of true morality. It deprives a portion of humanity of the opportunity to cultivate and express the full range of their capability and to live a meaningful and flourishing life while blighting the progress of the rest of humankind.
It cannot be rooted out by contest and conflict. It must be supplanted by the establishment of just relationships among individuals, communities, and institutions of society that will uplift all and will not designate anyone as other.
The change required is not merely social and economic, but above all, moral and spiritual.